The Bride, or rather The Bride with an exclamation point, is Maggie Gyllenhaal's highly ambitious take on The Bride of Frankenstein, centering around the mute character from James Whale's classic Universal Monsters film. And no, I am not forgetting about Mary Shelley's novel. In the book, the bride is never actually brought to life. No, the version of her that we know from the pop culture is a creation of the Universal Monsters series. So this isn't actually the first modern movie centered around The Bride of Frankenstein, with it having inspired a little-remembered 1985 film, also called The Bride, which starred Jennifer Beals, Clancy Brown as the monster, and Sting as Dr. Frankenstein. Not that anyone remembers that movie. So in this one, after being murdered at gangster's moll, Ida, played by Jessie Buckley, is brought back to life by the brilliant Dr. Euphonious, played by Annette Bening, at the behest of Frankenstein's monster, aka Frank, who is played here by Christian Bale, and is looking for a companion. So it has to be said the Bride does kind of come along at a bad moment, with it having to exist in the shadow of Guillermo del Toro's recent Frankenstein, which is up for a slew of Oscars this year. Yet anyone fearful of another take on that familiar story need not worry, as Gyllenhaal's movie really does its own thing, quite radically at times. It doesn't always work, with it being a bit of a mess more often than not, but at times, it's also a pretty dazzling spectacle. The film is set in a deliberately anachronistic 1930s era Chicago, with it home to bootleggers and gangsters, but also goth clubs where bands like Fever Ray play in neon-lit raves. In terms of visuals and styles, The Bride is something of a triumph. Gyllenhaal has built a unique world for Jessie Buckley's Bride and Christian Bale's Frank to inhabit, with dazzling production design and razor-sharp cinematography by Lawrence Sher. The performances all swing for the fences, with Buckley's work here in interesting contrast to her Oscar-nominated turn in Hamnet. That movie is all about nuance. This is maximalist, ear-shattering rage from start to finish. In fact, the film plays more like a horror take on Bonnie and Clyde meets Sid and Nancy than a Frankenstein movie, with Christian Bale's Frank, a kindly, lovesick guy who's sensitive, even if he won't hesitate to cave in the occasional face or two. Buckley, however, is dialed up to 11, while Bale is more of her low-key foil. It's too bad that Gyllenhaal's screenplay feels a little bit too much like a hodgepodge of ideas, many of which don't work. The idea to have the bride occasionally possessed by the spirit of Mary Shelley herself, also played by Buckley, who breaks in now and then also as a narrator, is very gimmicky and takes away from Ida/the bride's character arc, sending the movie off on tangents that are more confusing than gripping, and happen far too often. The influence of Todd Phillips' Joker is also palpable, with the film not only using the same DP and composer, but also the same producer. I'm sure The Bride was pitched as Frankenstein meets Joker when that was still fashionable, as the film was well underway when Joker Folie à Deux flopped. But it covers a little bit too much the same ground, with the bride influencing women all over the film's world to rise up and give themselves the same black facial mark that she has, and of course murder men. It feels like this notion was just tacked on, with it never really paying off. Some of the dialogue also is a little too on the nose. While it's definitely a feminist take on the genre, having the bride literally yell out "Me Too" probably has the subtlety of a jackhammer. The film is also overloaded with characters who distract from the bride and Frank dynamic, specifically Peter Sarsgaard as a lazy detective and Penelope Cruz as his brainy secretary, who of course is the real brains of the pair. A lot of time is spent on them, but it feels like they walked in from another movie, and whenever we leave the bride and Frank, the film grinds to a halt. Yet there are some inspired casting choices, with Jake Gyllenhaal having a fun, small role as a Fred Astaire-style movie star that Frank idolizes, with him even having a few full-on musical sequences. Oddly enough, of all the Frankenstein movies that Maggie Gyllenhaal seems to be pulling from, the one she references the most is Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein, with Bale's Frank even shouting out at one point, Much has been written about how the theatrical cut of The Bride took some time to come together, and it definitely does have the feel of a movie that's been edited down. It's uneven, at times frustratingly bad, but then in others it's absolutely riveting. Regardless of whether or not The Bride goes down as a failure or a success, it will almost certainly become a cult movie, and there's no denying that Gyllenhaal has serious chops behind the camera and is a rising talent as a director. The Bride is a movie that I loved at times and really disliked at others. Is it actually great? No. But it does have a few moments of brilliance within it, and at its worst, it's never dull. And I'm kind of divided on my score. In the end, I'm going to give it a 6 on 10, but who knows, maybe there's another cut out there that's more like a 7 or an 8. I guess it remains to be seen. But until then, even if I didn't love it, I still give it a hearty recommendation. So check it out this weekend if you feel so inclined.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.